Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to another scene for Living World of Darkness, Rage Across New York. We are setting the scene on the Sept of the Green, and we are actually setting it round about the shrine to Stag and the Hind, where there's probably still, because I haven't been told otherwise, a handful of various little gafflings are the smallest, right? Those things. Gafflings of various elemental sorts, and Lord knows what else is gathered around. The Hind is a very protective, very maternal spirit, so it's very possible that anything feeling uncomfortable would be there. But in the midst of all this chaos, and fuck it, I'm setting a number side because it's more fun. 10 Point is there, and while the better part of the velvet has come off of her antlers, they're nonetheless still a bit poignant Umberside, and she is, to all appearances, actually having a fairly good time of it. She's over there with her violin out and dancing around a bit. She tends to wear fairly loose, flowy clothes. So, yeah, she's just having a good old time playing the violin for the spirits that are there.
And as we have said something like this before, Platine will slowly approach because she's looking for 10 Point, and best place to not start is the Seeker's Cabin. Not because she wouldn't be there, but more because, things and stuff. So she's basically she's going to the shrine of Stag and the Hind, and just approaches, and as usual, as she sees that 10 Point is busy, she will wait at a couple of steps away. Probably again having some of the spirits getting distracted and flowing over to her.
Like they do.
Like they do. But she'll wait till basically 10 Point is done serving the spirits in this fashion, or just having fun, which, yeah.
Oh yeah, she's smiling. She's, she'll actually be spinning around and whatnot as she dances, and probably catch sight of Tlate and offer her a bit of a nod, and we'll do a bit of a flourish and go ahead and end her playing for the moment, not apparently caught up in any particular song. And we'll afterwards lower the violin from where it's tucked under her chin, and yeah, we'll do that whole rigmarole that Tlate hates so much, and go ahead and take a knee and tip her chin back.
Yeah, she's not too. It's not that she hates it because it's part of Garu tradition, but it's still weird to her to have people calling her Raya. So she'll just nod and you can get up.
Yep, and she'll go ahead and rouse back up. She's probably propped a leg in such a way as to make it fairly easy, figuring she wasn't going to be down there very long. And she'll offer again a little smile, a bit of a nod, and move over to begin setting the violin back in its case. Good afternoon, Raya.
Good afternoon, 10 Point. I was wondering if you maybe had some time. I mean, I know you're busy and all, but
of course,
yeah. I just had a few questions. I've been pretty busy the past weeks finishing the Dream Raven Shrine, but I know there are some troubles with the spirits.
Oh, which in particular, Raya?
Yeah. No, I was there when the king made his appearance, but well, he went into Vienna Castle, and I didn't want to set up a second problem between our tribes, so I decided not to follow.
I appreciate the gesture, but you probably would have been fine, Umberside. I don't think that anyone is clinging still to those events. But understandable.
Chad.
Fair. So, she'll pull up a nice piece of dirt and settle in because there's plenty to tell.
And Latin will sit down as well, immediately being a lot smaller now than 10 Point. 10 Point probably having to look down on her. Which Latin kind of feels okay with.
And they're probably both getting swarmed at this point by gafflings between like playing in their hair, and now the earth spirits can kind of like climb on their laps or what have you, like just shenanigans. And yeah, Shu will kind of adopt, storyteller position. So the King of Pets came to the Sept to appeal to us on the part of his people in the city. Apparently, the spirits of various animals from the shelters in the city have been painstakingly and very purposefully corrupted, and he has had them coming back to his lands and had to dispatch them and wants to see it done. And I suppose he at one point had connections here to this sept, so he came to us, and we are the closest, and wanted to call our attention to the problem. I believe Felix has sent others into the city to look into the actual shelters. I had suggested that we go perhaps in pairs, so long as at least one of them could sense the worm.
Smart.
So there's that, to try to find the source, because I've not been able to discover it from the spirits themselves yet. They either don't know or haven't gotten a hold of their contact in the city. It's somewhat complicated, but since he has arrived, we have found that there is another spirit named Queen Tibia, and she is the Queen of Cats, and as such, the cats do not fall under King Bragos and his people. They have their own kingdom. And it seems the two were at odds. There was a spy from her people here to look on the king and his actions. And as we discovered more, it seems that perhaps at one point King Bragos offered his hand to her, meaning to unite their kingdoms so that he could maintain control of all pets. And for whatever reason, she refused him. And so there has been conflict. To the point where there were actually a number of rats acting as mercenaries. And King Bragos sent them to harry her borders. So we went to her kingdom, Felix and I, and spoke to her advisors, and found that her son had gone to deal with the rats and not returned. So we set out ourselves. I actually brought your packmate as well as Jacob Raya with me. Thankfully, it was not eventful, though I feel bad for wasting their time, but all the same, we were able to find the camp of the rats and speak to them and secure the return of Tibia's son. And I actually invited them back to the Sept because their motivation was to find lands. And I offered them the chance to stay here where there would be no contest for lands, as this is Rat's Sept.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some 30 rat spirits, roughly, that have come and settled here instead of being a part of this conflict now.
You offered the rats a place. Okay.
Oh, sorry, yes.
I thought maybe you offered the cats a place, and that would have been problematic.
She kind of grins and shakes her head. Apologies. I am no Galliard. So no, I offered the rats an invitation back to our home. And they've taken it.
Mm-hmm.
As chiminage for abandoning their purpose there at the end. Felix and I have fed them cheese every day and must do so for the remainder of the month. But it has broken one point of conflict between the two kingdoms. And she says this with kind of a grin, like she knows how silly it sounds, but nonetheless is saying it as though it's serious.
Okay.
So our hope had been, seeing as this threat in the city is to both kingdoms, whatever may have happened last time, there is a chance that unity could be created between them, whether it is Tibia finally accepting the offer to marry with equal rights, or perhaps, I mean, she has a son. If King Bragos has a daughter, it could secure a political marriage and provide a unified front against the worm.
The latter seems most important. I am not very familiar with all this marriage thing. It's something that is out of my comfort zone. I didn't even realize that spirit married.
It is a very old world idea, something from back home. The families still practice it there between political marriages and exchanges of wards. They secure some measure of guaranteed alliance. Myriah, in fact, the reason he is with our pack is that I believe he was exchanged in such a way and raised among our people, and one of ours was raised among his.
Hmm.
And it ensures that there is never but so much ill will between the houses, as you essentially have a hostage, and at the same time, a child is raised in the other's culture, so that there can be an understanding. So we mean to propose an exchanging of wards or a political marriage, something to bind the kingdoms. But it seems that either spirit has taken a liking to one of us, and King Bragos has asked Felix Ryan to act as his mouthpiece, while Queen Tibia has asked me to act as hers. And we could certainly use a third party, Raya. This is going to get more awkward before it gets better.
Probably. Well, if you need help, I'm more than willing to offer it. If you think I'm a good third party, I don't have much experience with this, but maybe that's a good thing.
It is. I am well familiar, and Felix Raya seems to have the idea, but all the same, you're still a capable Theurge and plenty knowledgeable in other places, and you might bring insight that we would forget in trying to bargain the immediate as opposed to looking to the whole.
Well, I'm like I said, I will help
She
if they will
nods.
accept me.
I don't see why they wouldn't, Raya. They have been very benevolent as spirits go. Ah, and
That's good. And
in Queen Tibia's kingdom, we met another shifter, not Guru. I believe she said she was something Balam, feline shifter.
interesting.
I like to think that we have done well in proving ourselves to them as well.
Relationship with us and the other shifters will always be
Tense.
what it is. Yeah, at least.
I believe that we may have made at least some headway in proving that we would stand by our intentions as well as by solving this without bloodshed. We did return the Queen's son alive, and we've removed the threat at the border. Hopefully, they will look well on us for it.
And the spirits, I have no doubt, the shifters, one good deed does not undo a history of.
Of course not. But first step opens a path.
Perhaps when it comes to hate, something my tribe knows very well. In that way, I think I understand the shifters. The others, it doesn't matter. You can't erase the past, and there will always be mistrust.
In the meantime, I will take each step as it is offered to me.
That is all we can do.
So that is the better part of what I understand of that. The king and queen have a mutual threat, one that we can help with if we can pinpoint the source.
Maybe they should learn to focus on that more than on each other.
That is my hope.
As you said, one step at a time. If they work together with us on solving this problem, maybe there is no need for the other squabble.
She nods agreement.
How are the other spirits doing? Have you had any more contact with those tentacles?
Not of late, strangely. It's gone fairly quiet. I saw something in the papers about how humans, had taken interest in it cracking open. I don't know what that will mean in the long term.
No. Maybe we need to look into that.
I believe that is another thing in which I think that Felix Raya probably has more information than I do on the whole. The best I do is I share shifts with Dallas Yuff in watching the museum. There's a tree not too far from the border. And we take shifts so that if there is motion, we will know.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of mulls for a moment. I have not heard further on Castrophony. I've seen no signs of it moving or acting again. So it is potentially at rest. I don't know where, but that will come up again sooner or later.
Well, I know where it is in the museum. We went there.
Blink. Castrophony?
Felix and I. No, oh, sorry, the meteor.
Ah, yes.
Castrophony?
The earth elemental that awoke. The one that was possessed by hunger.
Is that the one in the forest?
No, the one in the northern woods is one that I had woken and have since set to rest again.
It was getting attacked by the Black Spiral Dancers.
And she nods.
We killed them. So
You did? You did indeed. There's that. The threat from the oil company is finally gone. There was no reason for him to remain awake.
Yeah. I have the feeling that that's connected to this waste thing.
Castrophony?
Not sure.
Or the oil company?
The oil company. Maybe I just think that all those companies are connected. It might just be me.
I admittedly know little about the heads of them or how they interact or if they interact.
Neither do I. Not very familiar with those things. This is why I was a little found it a bit strange that Aiden and I were appointed to that task. Not Aiden. Aiden is a logical choice in that, but I know little of the city.
But you are capable as a Theurge.
I guess.
And more often than not, my Raya needs someone to rein him in.
Not sure if I'm the right person to do that.
And she kind of purses her lips in a bit and shrugs.
Tatooine will raise an eyebrow.
I couldn't tell you, Raya. Sorry, what'd she say?
She wouldn't comment any further on that. She's just like...
But all the same, when Castrophony was active, he did taint several spirits on Sept and gave them that same hunger. Apparently he gained it from drinking from Gaia's veins.
That cannot have been worm taint then.
I don't know if the stuff was already tainted or perhaps from a place where there was already drilling and human influence, but whatever the case, he drank greedily from it to gain power and now finds himself forever hungry. It may have even been his own motivations that made it the way it is. An evil intent is enough to invite the worm.
This is definitely true. But we do not know where it resides.
I don't. We can trace a little bit of a trail from the places it is tainted, but it has been quiet, and there have been no further signs of it.
And these places are on Sept?
At least one was. There were the elementals that roused after he tainted them that we had to deal with. And then there were, I believe, a couple cases of smaller gafflings, some of water, some of fire, that were affected by his passing. And that is why these are here. And she gestures, drawn to the hind.
Mm-hmm. Have you spoken to the Keeper of the Lands about this?
Not at length, Raya. I believe he is aware, but he does not respond well to my company.
I have not seen him very active, and I realize that we are the only two keepers. This must be difficult for him to deal with, but at some point I do not wish to speak ill of one of your tribesmen. What is your opinion of him?
So long as he is doing the duty of the keeper, I suppose that I have little opinion, so long as I am able to do mine as well.
I do not see him active. There are so many things happening on the umbral side of the Sept as well. Spirits being attacked, spirits being tentacled, spirits fighting each other.
He has been very quiet.
Yeah, that's how I feel. How would you feel if you are the only keeper besides myself, and your opinion in this matters to me? Because if you would give up your duties as keeper, then there's little point in me doing this. But how would you feel about... I'm thinking about challenging him for the position. Because I don't see him active.
And her eyebrows laughed a bit, not in like shock and awe by any means, but just kind of thoughtfully. And yeah, after they pop up for half a second, she adopts a more thoughtful expression. I would suggest perhaps, Raya, speaking to other members of high position, perhaps Mother Larissa seems to be fairly open to being spoken to, but ensure that there's not some greater issue that he has not been seeing to in the meantime, so that the challenge is not made with ignorance to what he may have been doing. But Raya, you have tended a number of spirits and broods outside of even your own. I cannot say it would be a bad position for you to hold.
I don't particularly feel it's my place, but
in the end, you are still a Theurge, and a capable one, and very mindful to the spirits, very knowledgeable of whom to call on at the right time. You have tended shrines, you have created shrines for those who did not have one. These are things that the Keeper would do.
yeah. I'll think about it further, but it's at least good to know that you would not immediately reject it.
No. Keeper of the land is not so lofty a position that it says anything ill to have a Metis in that place, Raya. And if you are the one most suited to the duties, then you are the one most suited.
Not sure if I am, but as I said, beside you and me, there are no other keepers.
I would not leave on account of you stepping up, Raya, if you win your challenge.
Thank you. That was something else I thought of with something you said. It's a great thing about the character having eidetic memory while the player does not. No.
There's also the matter that we will have to, whether they get their tour or not, before too long, second chance plastics must be dealt with.
Yeah. That was what I was wanting to ask you. No, it didn't have to do with second chance plastic, but although I do agree we need to look into that. I don't know how I don't have the means. At least not Tellurian side. I have some information about the Tellurian side I could...
Felix seems to be fairly well connected, as glasswalkers often are. He's a very good source to find out the details of who's doing what.
I think maybe Felix, Aiden, and I will need to get together on this. No, I wanted to ask you something else. I hear a lot of people talking about nightmares.
We are all afflicted with them, Raya.
Yes. Myself included, of course. Do you have any information on this? I've heard you're more knowledgeable in dreams than others.
It has been difficult seeking the dreams when they're supplanted by these ones, but I am doing my best to look into it. I don't know the source. But considering the number of things that have been continuing unchecked, I feel it could be anyone.
Mhm. I am planning to ask the Dream Ravens regarding this.
The Dream Ravens, perhaps Chimera.
Mm-hmm. Dream Ravens are of Chimera's brood.
She nods.
But
I
either
would
of
be happy to be involved in any way that I could help.
yeah.
At the very least, if you were able to have the dreams, perhaps speaking to a raven would mean being able to share them. I am able to translate omens fairly well. I feel
I
like
think I
there's more I need to see in order to translate this, however. There's no connecting point.
did say that there are images I'm not familiar with, which makes me feel that they are, well, especially since everybody is suffering from nightmares right now. There must be a connection somewhere. I hope the Dream Ravens will be able to guide me to it.
I believe, if I recall correctly, that Felix Raya has said that our people are not the only ones afflicted with these nightmares. It spans further.
So, another issue that concerns more than just us.
Perhaps then it is tied to the other issue that the other peoples know about.
Could very well be.
I will mull on it and pray to Dana, seek insight.
I will think on it too, and I'll attempt to, well, get the Dream Raven's favor in this. Maybe together we can find out.
There's a nod.
Also realize that I still need to fulfill my duty to Stag.
She kind of blinks for a second.
It's been a while, but things got in between.
There's been much happening, Ryan.
Yes.
Then I will speak to my packmates again.
That I would appreciate.
She again
I'll
looks
think
a little over thoughtful.
on how to serve Stag properly.
One might consider it a service if this place is producing shattered hearts to see to it that it is not repeated.
Yes.
I cannot imagine that it would be any less than a service to Stag to ensure that the spirits of his brood were not being taken and corrupted and shattered
Or put into masks.
or put into masks. I'll think on this too, at length.
Yeah, me too. I'm not very familiar with Stag or his brood. Might need to get into that a bit more.
And she grins a bit. thoughtfully, kind of almost in a pleasant reflection kind of state as she's glancing over towards Stag's shrine. He is no more complex than any other totem, Raya. He is pride. He is a leader. And he looks over his people in the forest.
Hmm. When you say those things, and 2 out of 3 I can apply to most of, indeed, the totems.
She grins.
When you go, I would also consider a leader and prideful. Not necessarily looking over his people in the forest, though. Although in his way. Very much a spirit of revenge.
Very much.
Stag is more spirit of passion, family, perhaps.
She nods
If I
agreement.
interpret it correctly.
Yep, she nods agreement. And she gestures up to his antlers, essentially like broadly. He is a crowned spirit. He leads from the front, leads by example, holds his head high. And yes, feels strongly for his family, for his herd.
I think I also need to talk to Aiden regarding the service I would give to the Fianna, as I have not been able to speak with our kin, but I still feel that the service is done.
I will go and speak to him after this. See if I can send him your way.
Could you pass him a message for me?
Of course.
Ask him if the blood offering was enough as payments to the Fianna tribe. I think he'll understand.
She kind of knits her brow, tilts her head slightly. Was there another case where blood was offered, Ryan? Something that I was not party to?
Perhaps. I do not know what offering you are referring to.
I simply worry that based on the only blood that was spilled that aided a Fianna,
I would not use my sister's death in that way.
I didn't think so. I just wanted to make sure. I don't want him to get the wrong idea. I think I'm bringing up a tender subject, Raya.
Has been other blood offered that same night.
She nods solemnly, looking almost apologetic for bringing it up in the first place. Looking outright apologetic for bringing it up in the first place. I will ask.
Yeah, she Kathleen looks away. Ice face, like trying to keep that stone cold appearance.
For what it's worth, Set Point is way more subdued now. She did not want to bring up the subject, but did not want Aiden to fly into a rage, assuming the same thing.
Gods no. Right. Well, if he does not understand, and I'll just talk to him or some of the other Fianna here on Sept.
Of course, Raya.
Also, and I hate to use you as a messenger like this, but I think it's better to announce it before simply standing there knocking on your door. I would like to have a talk with Banshee when she's available.
She nods again. It's hardly below my station, Raya, to bring messages back to my packmates. Don't feel badly.
I would prefer not to be accused of using you.
And she kind of grins a little wryly. It is using a resource that is available. I am a member of the pack. It is sensible to send me with messages for them, particularly when you and I are far more likely to cross paths.
Indeed, I feel that Banshee as the alpha of your pack and I as the alpha of my pack need to have a conversation of where our pack stands.
Hopefully in a much better place than they have in the past, Ryan. I'm doing what I can.
That is my hope as well, but there are certain things that I would like to discuss with her. Maybe even superfluous, but
There's a solemn little nod, though she kind of pops her head up afterwards and glances over. Is William Raya better today?
for as far as I can tell, he is.
Good.
I hope, because I don't believe he made his nightmares roll for today, so I have no clue.
I shall fondly hope so, Raya. Is there any chance that I could beg a favor of you?
You can always ask. You did help my packmate.
One of his kin, unless he left it there, probably still has my hacksaw.
I'll make sure it's returned to you. And also will make sure it's replaced for a new one.
As long as I have something. On the off chance it needs to happen again. I just, in the thick of things, forgot it.
I said I'll make sure that it's either returned or replaced.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for your information and for your time.
And thank you for being willing to seek my opinion.
She'll nod, and he'll get up and, away.
Yep.
In the direction of the Hunters of the Lost Den.
And yeah, she'll hop up as well and go to snag the violin case. And with apologies to the spirits who assuredly always want her to play more, always, will say her goodbyes and head back to her own pack cabin. Pass the word along.
Lots of words.
So many words. So I suppose with that,
I think we can.
yes, we can say thank you, players, for playing, and watchers for watching. I see at least one of you. And we'll see you next time on the Living World of Darkness, Rage Across New York.